So I went to a networking event recently here in the Bay, and I heard an interesting conversation. So a woman told me that Intel had recently laid off 1,800 employees as a way to move into AI. The idea was they were going to lay off 1,800 employees and then rehire 1,800 new ones that were new grads with experience in AI. Be that as it may, I'm not here to judge Intel's business decisions. The interesting thing was actually something that another man in the conversation said. He's the director at a fintech startup, so I guess he kind of knows what he's talking about, but he told us it's actually a strategic decision on the part of the company to lay off so many employees. And it comes from two factors. The first is that stock price tends to go up when layoffs happens. And the next is probably a well-known fact that many tech professionals actually get paid in a large part in company stock. So an interesting thing happens when you join a company. You get like a huge lump sum of stock all at once. Like for example, my stock package when I joined Roblox was $240,000 of stock split up among 3 years. So every 3 years, I would earn a third of that stock. Now, the interesting thing there is that you get the stock at the price when you join. So say Roblox stock was $1,000 a share. If I got $240,000 when I joined, at $1,000 a share, I'd get 240 stock. And then every year, I'd get a third of that stock, so 80 stock a year. And depending on if the stock price goes up or down from 1,000, my compensation might actually increase or decrease. It's a way to like align your incentives. If the company does well, you do well because your 80 stock per year might be worth $1,100 rather than 1,000. That initial stock grant isn't the only one you get. You also get refreshers every year. So every year you get a little bit extra stock to keep you going and kind of make you whole. And so after you've been at a company for 3 years, you're getting your initial stock grant as well as 3 years of refreshers stacked on top of each other. And suddenly you have a lot of stock in a company. Now, the people that have been around for a few years and have gained all their refreshers and their initial bonuses, and suddenly you're worth a lot of money to the company. So think about if you're running a company and many of your employees have been around for 3+ years and are hoarding all of these stock. Well, what happens if you lay them off? You might be able to see where I'm going here. If you lay off all of your employees that have been around for 3+ years, first you get a lot of stock back because any stock that hasn't been vested or actually given to the employee gets returned to the company. And then second, it may be more insidious, but perhaps more interesting. If your stock price goes up and you want to ever hire any more employees at that new elevated stock price, the same package that you would have given them, say, before the stock price rose, would have given them a lot more stock than it would now. Here's some examples. If your stock price was $1,000 and you gave a new grad a typical package of $200,000 in stock, you'd give them 200 stock. Now, say you just had a big layoff event and your stock price rose to $2,000. That same $200,000 stock package, now you only have to give that new grad 100 stock. So the company has a lot of incentives to lay off employees. First, the stock price will go up, which is obviously great for the company. Second, they'll get a bunch of stock back from all the employees they let off. And third, any new employees that they hire, they now get to lock in a higher stock price and effectively give them fewer stocks for the same compensation package on paper. Just some interesting thoughts, and I thought the director explained it really, really well, so I wanted to practice sharing it with you. Now, as I'm making this video, it turns out that Intel's reduction of force event actually decreased their stock price, and it has yet to recover. So I'm not sure how strong the thesis is on the director's part that stock price always goes up. I mean, I looked into the biggest layoffs of the year, and of the layoffs at Tesla, Dell, and Intel, none of them had a huge positive effect on the stock price, but an interesting idea nonetheless. Thought I'd share. Take care.